Hey, what's up, everybody? Brendan Morse here for Red State. I wanted to show you the way that the left has begun attempting to get your kid into the gender fluidity trend that's happening, make them transgender or some form of LGBT identity. It is happening out loud right now in the Democrat Party. They're not shy about it anymore. And while they do this, they are simultaneously trying to drive a wedge between parents and children. They are trying to, behind your back, in schools, no less, try to introduce kids to this identity, this lifestyle, and making it seem like if they don't embrace this lifestyle, meaning they, the parents, that they should be shunned, and they're trying to make kids think that the only friends that they have in the world are these teachers trying to teach them about their identity and how they have this identity and they never knew it, and in order for them to be happy, they have to embrace it. Meanwhile, they're telling parents that we just need to sit back and allow these kids to have their identity and believe them about their identity whenever they say they have it. We're not supposed to argue with it. We're not supposed to push back. We're just supposed to listen and believe. Ridiculous, I know, but this is what they're doing now, and I wanted to show you what the end result of that is, and it's very, very, very devastating. Let's go ahead and take a look-see here. This is Peggy Flanagan, Minnesota Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan. This is what she had to say about not just gender-affirming surgeries and stuff, but this is what she had to say to parents who, might be a little hesitant to embrace the lifestyle.
Because let's be clear, this is life-affirming and life-saving healthcare.
So the healthcare that they're talking about is, allowing kids to transition. But here's the thing. It's not life-affirming. It's not life-saving. As we've known, teens and transgenderism do not mix. The suicide rate for teens goes up dramatically whenever they embrace the transgender lifestyle. This has been proven multiple times over. There's no denying it at this point. And yet, as you're going to see later on, doctors aren't telling kids this, especially young teenagers. But let's continue.
When our children tell us who they are, it is our job as grown-ups to listen and to believe them.
Listen and believe. Listen and believe.
That's what it means to be a good parent.
No, it's not. No, it's not. This is how to be the opposite of a good parent. And I'm going to show you what the end result is right now. This is up at redstate.com. You go to redstate.com right now, sign up for the VIP program, use promo code Save America. It'll get you 40% off, and you get a whole bunch of great stuff that you're not getting on the front page. Trust me, you won't regret it. Promo code Save America. Do it now. Detransition teen sues hospital medical group for double mastectomy she underwent at just 13 years old. Again, up at redstate.com right now. This is a very sad story. This girl has now detransitioned. She was a boy. She started, of course, as a girl, and at 11 years old, she decided that she was a boy, and she was taken seriously. They sent her to the hospital, and the doctors told her all sorts of stories and began transitioning her into a boy. They put her on hormone blockers. They gave her a mastectomy. And by the time she was 18 years old, she's now realized she made a mistake, but a lot of the stuff that she went through was just... It's irreversible at this point. Let's go ahead and dive in here. This is a horrendous account, which I doubt will be the last of its kind. By the way, this is from Mike Miller. An 18-year-old detransitioned victim has filed a lawsuit accusing a hospital and medical group of intentional fraud and concealment for a double mastectomy she underwent at just 13. After she first identified as transgender at age 11. As reported by Fox News, Layla Jane is suing Permanente Medical Group and subsidiary Kaiser Foundation Hospital's headquarters in Superwoke, California. The medical providers who performed the double mastectomy. Moreover, Jane alleged in an interview that the doctors pushed her into the procedure and characterized her gender transition as the only way to treat her pre-existing mental health problems. I don't think I should have been allowed to change my sex before I was legally able to have sex. I don't think I'm better off for the experience. I think transitioning just completely added fuel to the fire that was my pre-existing conditions. Not to be graphic, and I won't, but lopping off the breasts or testicles of confused at best 13-year-olds should be a criminal offense. I agree with this 110%. These kids aren't old enough to get tattoos. Yet, they say, well, Mom, I want to lop off my genitals. And they say, well, all right, let's take you to the hospital. And doctors, the people who take an oath to protect you and do you no harm, are like, yeah, well, you know what? This is a good thing because it's one of the only ways that you're going to be happy is if we lop off your genitals. We lop off your breasts or we stuff your chest full of silicone. It's the only way you're going to be happy. We put you on hormones that'll damage you for the rest of your life. There is no going back after this, even if you want to go back. You'll try to go back, but nothing will be the same. Jane said she previously struggled with mental health, including suicidal ideation before deciding to transition going into adolescence. Her attorney, Harmeet Dillon, alleged Jane's caregivers failed to administer the necessary mental health treatments before performing the double mastectomy and never informed her that 80 to 90% of teens eager to transition desist from doing so. They never told her any of this. Jane's lawsuit alleged doctors warned her of an increased risk of suicide if she failed to transition to male, adding that they gave her parents a binary option of living with a, quote, live son or suffering the consequences of having a, quote, dead daughter. They intimidated them with their child's life into giving up, saying, like, well, your daughter's going to commit suicide if we don't turn her into a man right now. So, make that decision. This is it's said best here. How can this irresponsible insanity not be criminal? Immorality aside, it should be criminal. This is from Harmeet Dillon. Informed consent was missing here. It is impossible for a child to give informed consent, and it is impossible for parents who are not fully informed with a child that was not properly treated cannot also give consent. I want to touch on something here, and this is the main point that I'm trying to bring up. The Democrats, many of these leftists, they want you to take a step back and allow your child, as you saw earlier, to make all the decisions about who they are. Now, if you were to leave it up to your child, especially, the younger, at 11 years old, if they really wanted to, they would eat ice cream for dinner every night. They would wear unwashed clothes. They'd never take a bath. They'd make all these decisions that would be absolutely bad for them. You as the parent with experience and wisdom must fill in the gap that your kid, all the experience that they lack. Because if you don't, they will end up hurting themselves and damaging themselves. Democrats want you to take a step back. I say Democrats, what I mean is leftists, because I'm sure there are Democrats out there who just completely find this, all of it, just absolutely insane. But these radical leftists, many of which who now work in the medical industry of all things, want you to take a step back and allow your children to make decisions that shouldn't be made, period. As a parent, you wouldn't let them get a tattoo. You wouldn't let them have sweets for dinner, like a mountain of Sour Patch Kids before bed. You wouldn't let them do that. All right? You would hardly allow them to swim in a pool unsupervised. But the kid is somehow going to tell you that they are X, Y, and Z when they're not? No. They want to drive a dividing line between you and your child. Because if they can, the child who will naturally go looking for someone to fill in that knowledge gap for them will go to somebody else, and they want that somebody else to be them. They want that somebody else to be some educator who is actually an activist posing as an educator to come in and fill your child's head with their nonsense. So they have a blank slate to work with, and next thing you know, they have a loyal voter and a good little activist. Misery loves company, and they want to spread that misery to everybody else. But the thing is, you can now see what happens. This kid, at the age of 13, was done irreversible damage because of a decision that she made when she was 11. A decision that she had no experience to make, no sense to make, really. She was not grown up. She had no idea. She hadn't even hit puberty. And yet, she was allowed to make that decision. This is what happens whenever parents don't step in. This is what happens whenever parents don't raise their children. Someone else will raise them for you. And these people who want to raise your children for you do not have your child's best interests in mind in the least. This is why you have to fight back. This is why you have to stand up to them. They want this for all kids. These radicals who have managed to find their way into the halls of academia, into the medical community, the caregivers, all right, they're therapists now. They have infected every aspect. They're even in Hollywood. I mean, Netflix recently just had to get rid of one of their shows because of parental backlash when one of the kids' shows introduced the non-binary thing through a talking cartoon buffalo. They're everywhere. And you've got to be on it. Because if you turn your back for even a second, this is what they want to do. And I'm not doing this, to be dramatic. This isn't sensationalism. This is absolutely true. The detransition stories that are coming out more and more, it's almost always the same story. They got them when they were young. They managed to convince them to do all sorts of stuff to their bodies that they can't take back, and now they fully regret it. Do not let these people take your place as the parent. You are the parent. You care about your kid. They don't care about your kid. They care about their cause. And your kid's just a means to an end.